Hey, if you're feeling overwhelmed trying to make money online, then this video is for you. I know it can be tough. The endless amount of information, the constant pressure to succeed, and the fear of failure can make anyone feel lost. I've been there too. When I started my journey, I felt like I was drowning in a sea of advice and strategies with, trying to figure out what was the right way that was going up and what was the wrong way going down was insanely difficult. But here's the good news. You can cut through the noise and find a clear path forward. I'm going to share with you the exact steps that I took to simplify my approach and start seeing real results. So the first thing that you're kind of running into is there's a sea of opportunities. What do I pick? My advice is try them all, but just pick one thing. Because the worst thing that you can do is try to combine, try to be building an Etsy store while at the same time building an agency, and then at the same time getting your real estate license. I see this far too often with people. They're trying to be everything at once. And we hear far often that like the average millionaire has 7 streams of income. But in all honesty, I think that's like one of the biggest garbage pieces of advice that's out there. I think it adds significantly more confusion and a lot more complexion than it does to, I think, serve as a good piece of advice. And so my advice to you is just pick one thing and go all in on that thing and maximize it until you reach a point where you can't get any further. You don't know what to do. You don't know which progress to go. And I get it. That can feel kind of frustrating. You may not make money from your first venture. But what I will say is what you don't gain in financial reward, you do gain in experiences. And so the things that you are going through right now in this time of like picking your first opportunity, don't view it as like this has to be the perfect thing and I'm going to be doing it for my entire life. Me personally, I started off, I was doing a sales job, and from that sales job, I started doing real estate wholesaling. And I was able to have some success with it. I made some money, let's say like $30,000. But in the meantime of doing that, I tried doing like Instagram pages, theme pages. I tried doing drop shipping. I tried doing a bunch of different stuff. And, that it did add a lot of complexity. It honestly burned a lot of money through that. But I ended up with like a ton of experience on the other side of things. So me trying wholesaling, and then me trying drop shipping, and then trying FBA, Amazon FBA, and then trying Instagram theme pages, and then doing YouTube is what I ended up eventually coming to. I gained all this experience through all of it. I got a better understanding of like what is this world that we live in of like, people buying things and what is marketing and what is Facebook advertising and what is like these different forms of generating income online, and then finding what was for me. Out of doing all of these, maybe I kind of like e-com the most. I just couldn't figure that one out. But I found YouTube and I fell in love with YouTube, and I ended up becoming really good at it. I had a lot of success pretty quickly not pretty quickly, but I had a lot of fun making YouTube videos. And as I had fun with it over time, I got to where I was making really consistent income. And when I started making income, then it started to become really fun. And that's when I went all in on YouTube. Now, I do see sometimes where people start their first business and then they go and try doing it, and they have a good amount of success with it. That happens. Like there's this one girl inside of my Faceless Channel Academy. Her name's Ray. She's never really I think she's tried other businesses, but she just started doing YouTube for the first time. And with that, like after like 6 months, she started making like 5-10 grand a month with it, and that happens pretty far often. And it's just all these experiences that you have from the past, they compound into you becoming a successful person. And so it's not that the business models didn't work. Every single business model I've listed in this video, I know people that are making like millions of dollars a month. That's right, millions of dollars a month from each one of these that I've listed. But what I will say is that a lot of people probably didn't start out with that business and they eventually got to where they were going. So the main thing is just pick something, go with it, stick with it, try to get results with it. And if you don't be too discouraged. You can always try something else. There's so many different ways of making money online these days. There's so many like low barrier to entry opportunities that we live in and we live in abundance of today, that I recommend just picking something, sticking with it, maximizing it. Take one person's advice is my ideal, as I would say, is like find one person to take advice from, maximize that. And if you can't like find out how to get results, then try someone else's advice, try that out. Try a few different people's advice out. And if you really can't figure it out, move on to a different business model. I met this one guy, he was doing just like business model after business model after business model until I think for him, it was like day trading was able to work for him. And so it's like different for everybody. Every single business, like I said, tons of people are making tons of money from it. It's just what is the thing for you is the biggest thing. And so I recommend just picking something. There's like, everybody has like the role of like social media these days is to make the most clickbait video possible that you can that you are going to click on, so then they're able to get more views and then drive more conversions, get more ad dollars, have people buy more of their programs, whatever. So we live in a day and age right now where there's abundance of information. So what I recommend is just picking one person. If it's me, awesome. If it's somebody else, awesome. Just pick somebody and go all in on listening to their advice and taking action on what they have. Whoever you resonate with the most, whoever you feel like you can kind of look up to the most, just pick somebody and just follow what they're doing, and then just maximize that. And eventually, after listening to lots of hours of their content and just implementing their advice, it starts to become pretty clear as to what you need to do. And especially like a lot of people these days that have a program or some sort of way to work closer with them. I recommend like looking at testimonials or reviews on their website about like how their services actually are. So then you're able to just verify, because there's a lot of like stuff out there where people have good intentions. And I know I have a lot of friends like this. They have good intentions with a program or helping people build businesses, but their execution, their implementation isn't necessarily the best. And, you know, they may be really good at their business, but working with people is a little bit of a different skill set and a different kind of activity. And so you want to find somebody who's not only good at doing the business, but then also somebody like, and has had experience and results with it, but then also somebody that is proven and has a proven track record of helping people. Like for me at Business Channel Academy, we have like over 350 students. We have, I think, almost like 50 like 5-star reviews on our website. And we have countless amounts of people that are making videos on a regular basis, advocating for us, and we're pretty public about that. So you want to find somebody like that. Like I said, it doesn't necessarily have to be me, but you just want to find people that have a proven track record and are getting results and following their advice. And what I will say is it's going to take a lot longer than you think it is. Like anybody, especially if you're going into anything thinking you're going to get rich quick, you're going in it with the wrong set of frame. Instead, you got to think like, what are the skill sets and who is the person that I'm becoming through this endeavor? Like the people that I see that have the best long-term thinking mind that I am always impressed by, they're typically the people that are like, okay, what is the skill? Who is the person that I'm becoming through this process and this transformation that I'm going through? And what are the skill sets that I'm developing in this process? And they focus more so on that than the actual result. They just know inevitably when they become a person of higher status and they become a person of higher authority and a person with higher skill sets and a better skill stack and somebody who is significantly more proficient at things, they just know inevitably they're going to make more money. They know that they will find a way to make more money and they will become a person of greater value. And they focus more on becoming a person of greater value than the actual like initial like quick money or quick result that they are getting. And so that's what you need to focus on is like, you're going to be blown away about how long things take when you get started. That was one thing I would say for me, now that I've been doing this for a long time. I was blown away with how long it took for me to make my first $10,000 a month. It took a pretty long time. I think it was like a year and a half, 2 years almost, until I started to see consistent like $10,000 months. It took a lot longer than I thought. I had some $10,000 months in the meantime, but consistently doing that took a lot longer than I thought it would. In the grand scheme of things, I am so blown away about how much my life has changed, how fast everything happened, and I'm like, wow, this is crazy. And what I will say is the biggest thing is just starting and then just being consistent. And just doing those two things and then reflecting more so on the person who you were the day before or the week before or the month before or the year before and comparing yourself to that in a healthy basis. Don't do it every single like hour, but once a week, every month or so, I reflect and I'm like, wow, I've come a long ways. In reality, when I'm in the day-to-day, it's kind of easy to get caught in, okay, nothing has really changed today since yesterday. But when I look at the grand scheme of things, like this YouTube channel you guys are watching me on right now, I started it just a little bit over 2 months ago and we gained almost like 4,000 subscribers. It's easy for me in the day-to-day to be like, oh, this video underperformed or it did all right, or this video did a little bit better, and think, oh, I'm not making any progress. But when I look at the span of 2 months, then I'm able to see, oh, wow, we've gained a lot of progress and we've made a lot of movement. So what you want to do is instead focus on the macro and less on the micro. And when you're in the micro, just focus on the micro. Don't look at the macro all the time when you're in the micro, if that makes sense. So the next thing is set small and achievable goals and avoid feeling overwhelmed to keep yourself motivated. Like I said, like just kind of what I was just talking over. The main thing is you want to set like small goals. You want to set weekly goals. You want to set big year goals. And then from there, you want to chunk it down to quarterly goals and then monthly goals and then weekly goals and then daily goals. So for my company, like what we try to do is we'll set, for my YouTube channels, I'll set goals for that for the year. Like I want to hit like one of them, I want to hit 1 million subscribers by the end of this year. And we're on track to doing that. And then I have like another business where, you know, I want to sell like 500 units of it. So then I'm like, okay, we want to have 500 people sign up for this. Okay, so then let's chunk it down. So if it's 500, you know, maybe the first quarter we'll try to bring on 100 or 150, and then we'll kind of go from there. 100 people in the first quarter, and then we break that down into months. So okay, each month we need to bring in about 33 people, and then each week that breaks down into we need to bring in about 7 people a week, 8 people a week to be able to hit that monthly production. And then day to day, I just need to try to close at least one, if not like we need to bring in 1, if not 2, maybe 3 people a day if we can, but focusing on at least 1 a day. And if we just focus on that, now it becomes super attainable and super bite-sized. And what happens is some weeks you don't make any progress towards the thing. You make actually like 0 progress, and that happens. But when you look at the grand scheme of things, and when you take a bigger data source, and when you look at like the scan or the scope of, let's say 90 days instead of just like 3 days, you're able to take a lot better averages, and you're able to see a lot better progress. And you're like, okay, all right, maybe like in the last month, we're supposed to hit 33 people, we hit 22. Okay. We're 70% of our goal. Okay, so we got to increase our inputs a bit more to be able to try to make up for it. So then we're averaging it out to get a bigger number. I'm getting all mathy here on you guys, but you can kind of see how my brain works. I bring it to logic, I bring it to numbers, and I ask myself on a grand scheme of things, how is the actual progress going, instead of becoming super consumed, oh, this was a bad week, this is going to affect the rest of the year. And instead, I kind of take averages of greater time periods. And so set more small goals so then you're able to make more progress. So like for this YouTube channel, I'm just like, if I can at least upload like 5 videos a week would be ideal. If I just keep doing that, then it would be pretty inevitable that I'd be at 20-30,000 subscribers on this channel by the end of the year. And if not, I'd probably be at 50,000 to 100,000 if I make the right videos. But instead of focusing on that subscriber number the entire time, this vanity metric, instead I focus on the inputs. If I just focus on making so many videos, it's inevitable that I will get X result. I will get a somewhat result. After 2 months of doing it, the first 2 months of doing it, we've been able to almost get to 4,000 subscribers. I think it's pretty reasonable that if I just keep uploading on a pretty frequent cadence on this YouTube channel, it's probably pretty realistic that I'll get to where I have, I don't know, let's do the math, probably 20,000 subscribers by the end of this year, like I said. So that's pretty really, at least 15,000 if not 20,000. So if I just focus on that, then that makes everything easier. On my other YouTube channel, I'm doing 2 videos a month, but they're really high quality. And so I know that if I do 2 videos a month, I know over the span of the next 6 months, at least one of them will hit over 100,000 views. And that's pretty guaranteed because they're higher production and I know they're really good ideas and I spend a lot more time in the videos. So I focus on that more so than anything. So set small goals. Be realistic with yourself about where you were yesterday. Don't necessarily compare to me. I have like 7 businesses and I have like 10 YouTube channels and I've been doing this for a long time. So you want to be realistic with you and where you're at and just what is the goal in front of you. So maybe for you it's your first 1,000 subscribers, or maybe it's making your first $10,000 a month, your first $1,000 a month, and just focusing on the things that'll get you to there. So for a YouTube channel to get to $1,000 a month, you need to just have like 200,000 views a month, which that's pretty realistic. You just need like a few videos to do pretty decent on your channel. You just need 1 video to get 1 million views and you've far surpassed that goal. So instead, just focus on the little outputs, the little inputs, the little goals, and then just trying to maximize and play that game of trying to do better than you did the week before, or better than you did the month before, or at least better than you did the quarter before. And when you focus on that, it makes things a lot easier. Even for me, I'm at a place where it's like, I look at my business and I'm like, okay, like my sales are down by, let's say like 70% than it was, let's say back in November, December. And it's easy to look at that and be like, oh, we're not doing that good. We haven't made that much progress. But if I compare how the results are that I am getting this month versus the same month a year ago, I'm actually doing twice as much as I was a year ago. And so if I look at it in that sense, I'm like, wow, okay, I'm actually not doing that bad. I'm actually doing pretty well. And I've made a huge improvement than I did a year ago. And just focusing on that will make it so it's like a lot easier for me to make progress consistently. And it's these little games that we play with ourselves to be ultimately insanely consistent. And so another part is join a supportive community or find a mentor who can guide you and offer advice. I already kind of covered the mentor part, but the main thing is you want to find a community. Go find other people that are like you. One thing that I'll do is like with this YouTube channel, specifically the Canuck Files channel, I will actually go and reach out to other people that have a similar production style that I do and a similar production schedule. and are in a similar niche as me, and I'll make actually like friends with these people, and I kind of create my own community with other people just to make it a little bit more enjoyable and to bounce other ideas off of other people. So I'll talk to a few people. Like there's this guy Ben in my niche, Ben Bader. Like I'll watch his videos, and we ended up going and grabbing lunch in Miami, and I'll go and connect with him, and I'll make like we'll kind of share ideas with each other, and we're kind of pushing each other. And lately I've had a tough time with consistency, and I'll kind of just talk with him, and he'll kind of push me a little bit, and then vice versa. And so you want to find these other people that are like on the similar path as you. And as you start doing the work, you'll start finding people. Just reach out to them, shoot them an email, even if they're competition or whatever. You reach out to them, and you could probably be friends and try to build with each other. And so find different groups, find different communities, find people on socials, like find people that are on a similar mission to you, or if someone has a community out there, go join it and make friends and compare notes with each other and share kind of like the journey with each other. It makes it a lot less lonely, I would say. And it actually makes it a lot more fun. It makes it kind of like a little bit more friendly, competitive, and it pushes myself every time I'm in those community circumstances. Like I'm in a few masterminds, and when I'm in these masterminds, like I'll come up with ideas, I'll lay out my game plan, my action plan, and a lot of times I show up just because I don't want to be the person that like said I was going to do all these things and I ended up not doing them. So find a community, find other people that'll support you on this mission, find accountability partners, and it'll make your life significantly easier. So the main thing I will say is now that you're doing all the basics and you're doing all these things right, you picked a business model to go down and sticking with it. Now the thing is, and let me maybe turn on the flash of my camera if this helps out a little bit better. But now the other thing I would say is most of my success and most of any person's success out there that you're looking at, the results happen in short bursts. It's a lot of it's working for months, maybe even years sometimes, of not really seeing much progress, or at least not feeling like you're making much progress. And then it's just like these small bursts. Like I remember very vividly October, November, December of last year, like I just had insane breakthroughs. I went from just earlier in the year, one of my businesses was doing $60,000 a month, and we were kind of stuck at that level for a pretty long time, for I think about like 2 years. And then in the span of like from January to going into like October, we went from like $60,000 a month to where we did $300,000 in a single month with the business. And it was like, I remember just the feeling of like, wow, this is finally paying off. And then month after month, we were hitting $300,000 a month with the business in revenue. And it was just, it was insanely profitable. It started to feel like really good, and like everything was doing well. And I finally felt like I was able to win, and I just felt on top of the world. And then, like reality kind of comes back together after like a few months. And then, you kind of end up back in a place of just like, maintenance mode again. And you're not necessarily breaking insane records, and you're just maintaining kind of that new level. And then now, I'm like doing whatever, $150,000 a month. It doesn't feel as exciting or as electric as the $300,000 months, but it's just like, it's still sticking with it and being consistent in those phases. And, sometimes we scale up a little bit too quick and we have to kind of cut down or whatever. And we kind of have to play with these dynamics. And it's just a lot of that. It's a lot of just like sticking with it in these periods where not a whole lot happens. And then we have some big breakthrough months. We have these like, wow, this is crazy. We're having huge, insane growth. And then, we have this ride of like emotions and highs. And then, reality comes back, and then we're kind of just back into the grind of things. And then we have more big wins, and then then it becomes maintaining of those wins and the maintaining of that level of where we're at. And it's just this constant cycle and this constant loop of this. And so what you have to realize is that a lot of these people you see winning, a lot of these people showing these highlights, they're typically just highlights. You're not seeing the actual day-to-day grind that this person is going through, or the person that they had to become in this transformation, and the months, if not years, if not decades that it took for this person to become who they are. And that was something I didn't understand when I first got started. Like when I got started, I would see some people in the industry, like for right now is a good example, like Alex Hormozi, or like Iman Gadzhi, or I'd see one of these people and I'd be like, wow, this is incredible, the results that they're getting, not knowing that like an Alex Hormozi, the guy's been at it for like 15 years now or so, at least since he was since he was 22, so he has 10 years of business experience. And then before that, he had a very prestigious degree, got a very high paying job. And he also grew up with a lot of family pressure that he grew up with, of trying to prove his dad, and just all these things that he had that was molded him into the pain and suffering that the guy had to go through to become the person that we see now today. And for me, I had a tough time because I grew up in a very healthy household. I also was somebody who, started a little bit later than some people. Not that much. Like, I started at like 18 myself. But it's like I would see myself after doing something for a year or for a few months or maybe a couple years. And I would see these people that are like in their 40s or 50s, like a Ty Lopez or like a Grant Cardone or a Gary Vaynerchuk. Like, I would see these people. And I'm like, I am nowhere near these people's success, nowhere near these people's results. But they've also had like 30 years of business experience at the point of like where we see them at now. And it was just like that comparison was very difficult for me to comprehend when I was in those early stages. Like, it was like, it like grinded my gears. Like, why am I not flying? Why don't I own a private jet yet? And why don't I travel around private? And why don't I speak on stages and stuff? Like, ultimately, that is like the conclusion I started coming to. And what you have to realize is that these people had probably a lot more time, a lot more experience, and they may have had some sort of competitive advantage that you don't have. And that's pretty typical. That's pretty normal. Like, some of these people, like Iman Gadzhi, that guy had his competitive, like, his advantages that he had in a way were his weaknesses. Like, he grew up with like a pretty awful childhood, it sounds like. And so it's just like, and he started business at a significantly younger age, even though we're, I think he's only like a year younger than me or so. It was just like not knowing like what other people are going through. It's kind of hard to comprehend, especially if you're someone in your 20s. Like, it's like you only in your late 20s, you start to realize what other people go through and what life actually looks like, and just how far differently, like, different childhoods and how people grow up can set them up for completely different paces. And I would not trade my results for somebody else's results to have a different childhood or a different life than somebody else, because I had a great childhood. I would almost say I would prefer that than the pain and suffering they had to grow up with at a younger age, and then that manifesting in, them having faster success in business. But it was like they were running away from intense amounts of pain and suffering that they had growing up. And so I had to realize that there is differences in people. There is these varying levels of like what people have to go through to become the person that they are. And so me, as somebody that was like super overwhelmed with making money online, like I was struggling to compare myself. And so what we have to do is we have to compare ourselves to who we used to be. We have to compare ourselves to who we were a week ago, to a month ago, to a year ago, to a few years ago, and compare ourselves to that person. And then from there, then we can have the satisfaction of understanding, oh, okay, wow, we've actually made a lot of progress. And it's only then when we can recognize the transformation that we have gone through. When we start comparing to other people, we don't know what they went through. We're comparing our transformation, like our current circumstances, to someone else's like entire life different worldview that they had to face. And so you have to be really conscious and really aware of that thing. And so other than that, the main thing is just remember this. I just want to leave you guys with this now, is that every successful entrepreneur started where you are now. It's all about taking consistent small steps and being consistent and realizing that it's not a sprint. It's a marathon that we're playing, and that it's going to happen a lot longer than we want it to, but it's going to be wildly rewarding once we get the result, once we get to where we want to be. I'm telling you this from firsthand experience of now getting to a place where I've made over $3 million in my mid-20s, and now, I'm definitely on a amazing trajectory to be wildly successful in my life. And my goal is to make $30 million by the time I turn 30. And I definitely think I can hit that point. And, I'm on a trajectory of being able to do that. And it's just been so awesome getting now the confirmation now from a lot of the people that I am getting confirmation from in my life. And it just, it feels so good being the person that I always wanted to be. And I'm so happy that I stuck with things, even when it felt tough, even when it felt difficult, and I just kept showing up regardless. And so I wish the same for you. I hope that you keep watching these videos and I just brainwash you to be uber successful and you have amazing habits and you just keep showing up regardless of what's going on, and that you just keep being consistent. Regardless of what results you get, you just keep showing up and just keep trying to be better than you were yesterday. Because small daily actions, small daily habits equate to large, ginormous, insane results. If you look at the compounding effect, if you get 1% better every single day for a year, you will be 36 times better than you were in a year. So if you just keep trying to get 1% better and you just keep focusing on that, you'll be blown away with the results and who the person is that you become. I'm blown away with who I am today versus who I was a year ago. Like, it's night and day difference, even though it was only a year. It's crazy to me. Like, I have transformed entirely. I'm a completely different person. Not entirely, but like I've faced a lot of growth. I have gone through a lot of things. I've changed a lot of people's lives in the process, and it will continue to do so over time. And I wish the same for you. So that's what I got. I'll see you guys all in the next one. Peace.